Good afternoon, everyone. We appreciate the opportunity to come before you today with information that we hope will be helpful to you. Before we get into the meat of the program, I want to say a special thank you to Buckley and to James Reddish and our team that have worked so hard to try to put these things together. If you've not been to our website, if you go to the front page of the Little Rock Chamber website, you will see a whole host of information in regard to programs, grants, loans, as well as other things to assist you in trying to get through this extraordinary circumstance that we find ourselves in. And I also want to say a big thank you to Edward Haddock and his team at the Arkansas District Office of the U.S. Small Business Administration. While we have all been inundated, we can't imagine what those folks have been through over there. And Edward, we really appreciate you and your team, not only in what you've done getting us to this point, but what you're going to do in helping us get through this coronavirus issue so that we come out stronger on the other end. So with that, I would like to recognize you, Edward, to introduce the program for today.
Edward, you're muted. Hang on.
There we go.
There you go.
Hey, well, thank you very much, Jay. Absolutely. Thank you to you and your team, Buckley and James and everybody else over at the Chamber. We all know this is unprecedented times we're dealing with, and our small businesses are significantly impacted by this across the state. So we are doing everything we can to make sure that any resource we have available is extended out to the community, the Arkansas community here, of course, and then really help guide you all along this journey. We're in unprecedented times and things are very liquid right now. They're changing daily, if not hourly in some point. So I do want to come in and thank my team for being a fantastic team. Rick, Herb, and Suzanne out of my office have just been dealing with hundreds and hundreds of calls a day. So we're doing our best, and I do want to kind of level set and set some expectations here with the challenges. This is unprecedented volume even for the U.S. Small Business Administration as a federal agency. You'll notice some of the changes that are happening and those unfold daily. For instance, right now we do have the application site down as it is going through some back-end rework so we can handle the volume of applications that are coming in. With that being said, we're not going to stop taking applications. We're going to pivot and start using paper-based forms and electronic submissions for doing that. So Rick is going to walk us through kind of the overview of the EIDL, and then we're going to get into the weeds and hopefully answer all the questions everyone does have here. And I know Jay has built up some pretty big expectations of what SBA is going to do and has done, and we will continue to meet those expectations throughout Arkansas and nationally to serve our small businesses during these times. So again, thank you all. Thank you all for attending today. And I'm going to stay on the call so we can make sure we get all the answers we can possibly get. And we'll stay here as long as we have attendees asking questions. So don't worry about the time. And I'm going to turn it over to Rick Duda from my team to take it over from here. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you, Edward. Thank you, Jay. And thank you, Buckley, for being in on this. My name is Richard Duda, and I'm a lender relations specialist here at the Arkansas District Office and report to Edward. So we appreciate your leadership and direction on this, Edward. You're making it much better for everybody in the state. We're going to briefly go through some slides here and kind of walk you over and into the program. So the SBA Disaster Declaration, this is the only situation where SBA actually makes loans directly to the small businesses. All right, and then this particular disaster declaration is referred to as COVID-19. All of the counties in Arkansas have been approved. So the entire state has been declared eligible under the COVID-19 program. So what is the SBA Economic Disaster Loan Program? It's the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Basics, which is what businesses are eligible to apply. So basically, if it is a for-profit small business, most of the small business in Arkansas would qualify. And that includes small agricultural cooperatives, small aquaculture businesses, and most private nonprofit organizations. I will let you know right now, if you're on the call and you are a farmer or you grow something that you water, fertilize, and sell, if it is a crop, those calls need to be directed towards the USDA and FSA office. We understand that they are working on some programs as well, but for the EIDL loan program specifically, farming is not eligible. So please contact Farm Services Administration as well as the USDA. Is that correct, Edward? Yes. Okay, that was the direction I had as of this morning. All right. So this includes eligible businesses that are directly affected by the disaster, businesses that offer services directly related to the businesses in the declaration, which are all in Arkansas, other businesses indirectly related in the industry that are likely to be harmed by losses in their community. All right, so what is the criteria for a loan approval? Credit history. The applicant must have a credit history acceptable to SBA. Let me go ahead and jump in and answer a question which will come up. There is no specific credit score. Okay, this loan program has a little bit more flexibility to it. However, be aware that if you are past due on federal taxes, past due student loans, and default of any federal taxes, go ahead and apply, but be aware that you may have to provide additional information and documentation to be considered eligible. We don't have a specific credit score, but you do have to have a credit history. The borrower must be able to clearly show repayment. SBA must determine that the applicant business has the ability to repay the SBA loan. As of 2 o'clock today, this is still a loan program. This is not a grant. Okay, and we'll go into this in a little bit more detail. Eligibility, the applicant business must be physically located in a declared county. Got it. All right, all of Arkansas has been declared. So how much can I borrow? Okay, so in the application, there is no space to put, I need this much amount of money. The loan officer will determine how much the borrower will be eligible for. All right, so small businesses can qualify up to $2 million. That is the limit for the small business and or any of combined affiliates if there are additional affiliates. All right, the interest rate for the disaster loan is fixed at 3.75% for small businesses and 2.75% for nonprofit organizations with terms up to 30 years. Typically with SBA, working capital loans are usually somewhere around 10 years, but the loan officer will look at the overall repayment ability and determine whether it would be shorter than that or longer than that. They're really trying to work with the small business owners to make sure they have the ability to repay. In addition, there is no payment on the loan until 12 months from the date the note is signed. So let me repeat that again. If you are approved and you have your money on April the 30th, okay, and you sign your note April the 30th, your first payment will not be due until April the 30th of 2021, all right? The money is to be used solely for working capital, okay, the operating capital of the business. It is not to be used for debt consolidation, debt refinancing, acquisitions, construction, any of that. How can I use the loan funds? These working capital loans may be used to pay the fixed business debt, payroll, accounts payable, and other bills that could have been paid had the disaster not occurred. So I use an example, Sally's Donut Shop, all right? Sally can't sell her donuts. She has 2 employees. That's working capital. She's got to pay rent. That's working capital. She's got to pay her insurance. You got it. So if it's the operating expenses of the business, that is what the relief loan is designed for. All right. What are the collateral requirements? Under the EIDL loan program, and we are only talking about this loan program, no other SBA programs during this call. Under this loan program, loans over $25,000 may require additional collateral. The loan is to the small business, so the loan officer will look at the collateral that is available. At the moment, they are not taking personal property, but you will have to list your personal property in your personal financial statement. SBA takes real estate as collateral when it's available. This has been updated. on a case-by-case basis. So please do not ask any specific questions about real estate, because this is a situation under this program in this circumstance. As I said, SBA is not taking a lien on personal residences. If you have business property, the loan officer will discuss that with you when the application is received. The SBA will not decline a loan strictly for the lack of collateral, but requires borrowers to pledge what is available, and that is decided by the loan officer. All right, so let's talk about the basics. What kinds of small businesses can apply? We already talked about this. Let's talk about include businesses but are not limited to the following: typical hotels, recreational facilities, charter boats, sports vendors, owners of rental property. Yes, if you own rental property and you've been affected, yes, this is a situation where you can do this. Travel agencies, wholesalers. So what other criteria is involved? The applicant business must have a physical presence in the declared disaster area. An applicant, period. All right. SBA's working capital loans are different from other SBA loans. The SBA's EIDL loans are directly from the U.S. Treasury, okay? And the Treasury knows where to find every single person in the country, all right? So applicants do not go through a bank. So the loans are not made through the bank. The loans are made through the EIDL program through the SBA. This is the website where you can go to disasterloan.sba.gov. As we mentioned earlier, the online portal is down. The SBA landing page is up. There is no cost to apply. There is no obligation to take the loan if it's offered. The maximum unsecured loan amount is $25,000. If you are a sole proprietor and you need $10,000 for working capital for the next 6 months, your application will go through probably a little more quickly than someone who's got a lot of different affiliates and a much more complicated deal needing a lot more money. Applicants can have existing SBA disaster loans and still qualify. So last year in Arkansas, we had a lot of small businesses that were affected with the floods, and they had an SBA disaster loan. That was under that declaration. This is a fresh new declaration. So if you have an existing disaster loan, you can still apply for this. If you have an existing regular SBA loan, yes, you can still apply for this. All right, that's some good news for some folks, and I know a lot of folks could use some good news today. All right, basic filing requirements. You must complete the SBA form, which is the application form 5, the tax information authorization, IRS form 4506T. Folks, this is a federal IRS form. This is not an SBA form. This part is not negotiable, okay? So fill out that 4506T for the applicant, the principals, and any affiliates. The principals are the people who own the business. The affiliates are any other businesses that have a relationship to that company that is the borrower. Complete copies of the most recent federal tax return. This was amended in the past 2 days. The SBA, as of this moment, is not requiring you to upload copies of your federal tax returns. They may ask for those once you get to a loan officer, but as of this moment, you do not have to upload those. That was part of one of the problems because the tax returns were so big and the file sizes got large. So as of this moment, you do not have to attach and upload your income tax return. I would strongly suggest that you have them handy and have them scanned in as a PDF on your computer if they are requested. You will need to complete the schedule of liabilities. What does that mean? A list of things that you owe. Rent, do you have a company vehicle? Do you have company equipment with loans on that? Company credit cards, those are liabilities. You will fill that out on that form 2202. A personal financial statement, the SBA form 413. I know, I work for SBA, we have a lot of numbers, right? Even I have a hard time keeping up with it. So I keep a little checklist with me. And other information may also be requested by the loan officer. Okay, although a paper application and forms are acceptable, filing electronically up until today and yesterday when the site was down was the easiest, fastest, and more accurate way to do this. All right, additionally, filing requirements. Other information that may be requested. A complete copy, including all schedules, is the most, okay, we go back to tax returns. If you have affiliates, we'll get into this in a moment, you will have a free form box. I would suggest you address anything that is complex or complicated in that box, all right? And we'll go into that in just a little bit more later. A current year-to-date profit and loss statement, that is very important. If you do not have one, I would suggest that you get one pulled together very quickly. Additional filing requirements, the SBA Form 1368, providing monthly sales figures for your business. So what the loan officer is going to do is, he or she, when they get your file and the financial statements, is going to look at your historical financial statements for as long as you've been in business up until like the last 2 years. All right, so they are going to look at the seasonality. They know the seasonality of certain industries because they've been doing this for decades. And they will look at where you were before the disaster, where you've been historically, and look at what you're going to need. I would suggest you also put together some projections on a month-by-month basis and look at 6 to 10 months. Okay, now, so that has to do with your financial statements. If you are starting up, if you've only been in business for 4 or 5 weeks, go ahead and apply. You're going to have a really strong business plan and really strong projections, especially if you were just about to open your doors or you were in the planning process. So we like to let the credit officers at the Disaster Assistance Group make those credit decisions, okay? So hopefully that will answer a lot of questions that we get in these webinars. Ineligible entities, okay? Who is not eligible? Anything that has to do, as I mentioned, with agricultural enterprises. If you are unsure, write this down and Google it. You will find it under Section 18B1 of the Small Business Act, all right? Religious organizations, churches, any religious organizations are not eligible. Charitable organizations are not. Gambling concerns are not. Casinos and racetracks, you'll see right there, they are not eligible either. Excuse me, nonprofit organizations are eligible if they do not fit into any of those categories. And that is the one situation where tax returns will be required as part of the application. Let me say that again. If you are running a nonprofit that is not in one of those categories, you will be required to submit tax returns as part of the application. That only applies to the nonprofits, and that's as of today. So how do you apply? Okay, we have up until the last few hours today been sending everyone to this link. Make sure that you have the https:///. There's the rest of it. Folks, we're going there, registering their personal information. We're going to move forward with this. In the interim, we'll have some updated information towards the end of the webinar for you. All right. Paper loan applications can be downloaded from the disaster website and can be mailed to that address. Okay, this is something that has just come out within the past day today that we just found out this afternoon. Edward, are you on the call? Do you want us to address the situation with the mailing in the uploading documents or mailing them in at this point? All right, Edward is probably on a call. So when we get to the end of this, we'll discuss this in a little bit more detail. The point of this, folks, was to get you through the application process because the process in terms of the documentation is still the same as it was yesterday. All right, so if you have questions, once you have submitted your application or if you are having technical issues, please contact customer service. We cannot have it at the district office here. We don't have a way to help you in the application, okay? So the good folks at customer service, excuse me, 1-800-659-2955 or 800.
Hey, Rick, yeah, I'm sorry. I was just able to jump on yet. For right now, so anyone that is starting a new application today can go to the website. They'll download their forms, start filling them out, and if they get it completed, they can upload it into the Dropbox that is right there on the website application. they will not get an automatic response with a loan number or a loan processing number, unfortunately. So that's the only issue that they're going to find if they submit it through Dropbox today. Alternatively, if you download it and snail mail it out, that process is going to take a little bit longer for them to receive it and start processing it. So if you're working on it tonight or about to submit it, go ahead and submit it into Box. If not, we're anticipating the system can be repaired within the 48 hours that we're looking at right now.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Edward. And there is the email address for customer service. So I will tell you this, I've heard folks say that somebody picked up in 20 minutes, and I've heard folks say they were on hold for an hour and a half. They are rapidly scaling up for with hiring for new customer service, additional customer service folks. So here's the deal. On all the webinars I've sat in for the past 3 or 4 days, don't give up. Put your phone on speaker, go and do whatever you need to do in the house, keep checking it. Someone will pick up. And when they pick up, I would strongly encourage you to have your application number, if you have it, which is once you've submitted your paperwork, once you're going through the process online, you will get an application number. That's kind of like your file number. It is not the loan number. It is just basically called the application number. Please write that down. All right, so here's some information about assistance from our SBA partners. Free assistance. Now, folks, there are some folks out there offering to assist with this and charge a fee. You can do it for free. We just recently got off the phone yesterday with a small business person. They had no problem. It was a sole proprietorship. And he said this was not that complicated because he didn't have a lot of affiliates and things like that. So you can get additional assistance from our resource partners, including the Small Business Development Centers here in Arkansas. It's asbtdc.org. SCORE, which are counselors that are free counselors to the SBA, the Women's Business Center, and the Veterans Business Outreach Centers and local chambers of commerce. But just remember, folks, nobody is in their physical offices. I've had a couple calls where somebody says, can I just come and sit down with you? And I would love to, but I can't do that. Our district office is closed. All right, so folks are available to help you. They want to help you. Reach out. We're all in this together. All right, so submit your application as soon as possible, okay? Don't wait. Today I've probably received 15 calls from folks. What's going on? What should I wait? Should I see what comes out? No, go ahead, jump into the pool now. Get your application going because there's going to be additional resources available. So just fill it out and go with it. Recheck your filing requirements to ensure that everything that is needed information-wise is submitted. Excuse me, the biggest reason for delays in processing is due to missing information. So here's the thing, a lot of folks are in a scary situation, they panic, they're in a hurry, and one of the big problems that I understand is that folks are not entering their information correctly. They forget a letter in their email address, they have a wrong number in their telephone number field, maybe their social security number is wrong, so I always suggest please check it 2 or 3 times, all right, and that's very important. Go ahead and get your application in. If more funds are needed, applicants can submit supporting documents and request for an increase. Just get your application in. If less funds are needed, the applicant can request a reduction in the loan amount. You don't have to take all of it. If the loan request is denied, please do not call the district office. We don't have an answer for you. If the loan request is denied, the applicant will be given up to 6 months in which to provide new information and submit a written request for reconsideration. All right, we are going to move in very quickly through the application forms. I am not going to spend too much time on any particular one of these, just a couple of hot spots. All right, so this presentation will provide guidance on how to complete an electronic business application utilizing SBA Form 5 and 5C. Before starting this process, please ensure you have the filing requirements as defined in this document. I had a lady call me yesterday. She says, well, how do I know if I'm a sole proprietorship or a corporation? Like, well, you kind of got to know what your legal entity is. I don't have that there. So I usually suggest you look at the tax return. If it's Sally Smith and it's Sally Smith DBA Sally's Donuts, you are most likely a sole proprietorship. But check your tax return, check with your attorney, check with your CPA if you are unsure. And we understand that some folks may not be, so you've got folks there to help you. These documents are required for processing the application. Okay, I'm going to go through these forms very quickly. All right, one of the things I can tell you that was brought up in a webinar yesterday is please read every single line of every single form. Some folks are trying to speed through this and not pay attention, and then it ends up coming to give them a little bit of a challenge at the end. All right, so this is a federal loan program. All right, so when you land into the SBA portal, you're going to click Apply Online for the Disaster Loan Assistance. You will register. Okay, here is a great free tip for everybody on this call. Write down your username and your password and make 3 copies of it and keep it someplace safe, because if you lose that or forget it, you will have to start the process over, and that will not be fun. Right? So once again, write down your username or password, save it somewhere. All right? The next screen is going to ask you to register. Okay? Anytime you see a red asterisk, you must complete that field. It is not an option. The application will not let you pass go and collect $200 and move forward without that. All right, so please pay attention for those. All right, you're going to apply online. You are going to click businesses and nonprofits. You will not click homeowners and renters. I had 2 calls yesterday. I think I made a mistake. What did you click? Something about homeowner. No, no, no. Businesses and nonprofits. All right, folks, this one is very important. Business type. This is where you have to put your business type, and this will determine any other additional forms that you will fill out as part of the application. So in this case, we have a limited liability company, and you are only applying for the economic injury, the EIDL, which is the 3rd box down on this slide. All right, business type, you will fill in your information. You will select your state, which will be Arkansas, your county, and the disaster declaration. You will complete your certification, okay? You need to read through these, okay? These are certifications stating that what you are providing is truthful and honest and accurate to the best of your knowledge. All right? Form 5, the business type for this example is a limited liability company. This page provides information on all the filing requirements necessary to have a successful completed application. All right, once again, more information. It's the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, EIDL. Always look for that when you are filling out information. All right, Form 5, pages 2 and 3. This has to do with the business owner to provide information about partners or affiliate businesses. Okay, so this is one where we get a lot of questions every day. I'm going to give you one example, okay? If it gets more complicated than that, we probably need for you to contact customer service. So let's say the guy's name is Billy Bob, and Billy Bob has a boat company, right? He rents boats. But Billy Bob's company, who owns boats, also owns maybe the bait and tackle business, and that's a separate business, okay? So he owns 100% of Billy Bob's boat rentals and 100% of Billy Bob's fish and tackle. That's an affiliate, and he will have a tax return addendum schedule, whatever the schedule is for that, all right? So that's an example of affiliate. If you do not have it, do not worry about it, all right? Filing requirements, and as you go through the online application as we had it as of yesterday, you will see a progress bar and you will see the little click. Do not hit update unless you have information to change, add, or remove. so don't worry about the update button. Now that the application is complete, the filing requirements on this page must be submitted to upload and complete the process. Your personal financial statement, okay? You can use this form to complete your personal financial statement or upload a personal financial statement you already have by scanning and uploading that document. I like to use SBA forms because I know I was a loan officer at one point in my career. I know that if I'm getting this, I know exactly where my eyeballs are going, and I know exactly what I'm looking for, and it makes it faster for me to process the application. So it's strictly your choice, whatever works best for you. If you indicated you have real estate, you must complete this form supplying additional information. Your personal assets and your personal liabilities. All right, so you need to be able to show what you own and what you owe. If you have rent, put it in there. All right. Your schedule of liabilities, okay, this will be your list of your debts. All right, this is for the business. All right, so the business is the borrower in every case. All right, name of the creditor, the original amount, date, current balances. Here again, this is where the loan officer is going to look at what is the monthly expenses on debt service for this business as it pertains to how much working capital will you be eligible for. The federal form 4506T, as I mentioned, this is a form from the IRS. You will complete that information. What does this do and why is it required? This is required so that the SBA has your permission to pull the tax return and to review them as part of the loan application. All right, electronically file. Each applicant partner must submit the 4506T. As Edward mentioned, you will download these and then you will upload them into the Dropbox. Under the current process, once you uploaded them, you would get a notification that it has been uploaded. Tax returns are not, as I know some folks maybe came on late, so just giving you an update, copies of your tax returns are not required for for-profit businesses as part of the application. If you have a nonprofit, they will be required as part of the application.
Just a quick note on the 4506T to give folks, to make sure as you submit that 4506T, you're signing that document in the very same signature that you had the IRS tax return signed in. If you've used your complete name on the tax return, make sure you're using your complete name on the 4506T. The IRS tends to get a little picky when the different name is on the 4506T, but we're going to use that to send to the IRS and verify your taxes anyway. So that's why your individual tax uploads aren't needed.
Good point. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. All right, your filing requirements are complete. You can see that all filing requirements no longer say start. You will get an application notice, application successfully submitted. All right, so returning to complete the application. I had a gentleman call me yesterday morning and he was in tears, and by the end of the time of the call, I was almost in tears because he did not write down his username and password, and he had spent about an hour and a half filling out all the forms. So if you get nothing else from this webinar, remember to write down your username and password and keep it safe, all right? Once you return, you'll input that and click continue. All right, if you are a sole proprietor, you will click sole proprietor for economic injury disaster loan, or you will click your organization structure. Ignore the home and personal losses. This does not apply. This is not a physical disaster. When you had the floods, you would have clicked your property, but this is not a physical disaster. All right, declaration section. On the same line as the save icon, you can also see the progress of the disaster loan application. You'll enter your state and county. Certification and executive order. You will read this and execute it. Continue with the application process, click start. Completing Form 5C for a sole proprietorship loan application, filling the information box. It's very similar to what we already discussed. Anything with a red asterisk is required. You cannot move forward without completing it, and check your work, please. Continuing, you do not have any damaged property. Form 5C continues your debts and assets. Fill in the information blocks and then hit next. Fields marked with a red asterisk, once again, are required. Disclosure statements, fill in the information is required. Hit next. Consent and additional comments, read the information and stop. Affiliated businesses, as I mentioned once before in Billy Bob's Bass Boats, if you do not have an affiliate business, keep moving forward with the application. We talked about the 4506T form. We talked about the request for the tax transcript, which is the 4506T. This is where you'll download it. You'll upload it from there. Once the tax returns are complete, sign the final dimensions. They are not requiring tax returns as of this moment for for-profit businesses. You would then submit your application, and you will get a confirmation. The application number is the number you should be writing down along with your username and your password. All right, then please go back and check your message center. The message center in this example is a slide with a little red circle with the number 1 that tells you you have a message from the message center for SBA Office of Disaster Assistance. After completing your application, you can automatically return to the home page. From here, you can check the status of your application by clicking the status icon, and you will have a status update. One of the things, this is something else, please write this down. This is not in the PowerPoint. This has come up recently, like in the last day or two. Once you have an approval number, you have an application number, write that down. When you call customer service, ask for your case manager. Your case manager, and have that application number. That will speed up the process for them to assist you more quickly. All right, special note, if you receive a message like the one below, you press save so that you don't lose your information. Alert, please save your data by clicking the save button shown in the upper right. So save your work as you're going through the application if you will be doing it online once it's back up. All right, here's our local contact information. All right, Edward, did I miss anything with the slide presentation, sir? Edward, are you muted? I think Edward's mic is muted.
I just unmuted. Let's see. He's muted himself from that end, so I can't unmute him. There we go. He's unmuted.
There we go. Yeah. All right. Sorry. Still
Edward,
trying to figure this one out.
Did I miss anything, sir?
No, I think we just need to set some expectations and let folks know that we are working on the back end to get the online application website back up. And I'm sure, as I see in the chat box and others, if you started an application, there's no reason to start a brand new one at this point. We don't have a timeline on when we're going to get that back up, but what I'm being told, hopefully, is no more than 48 hours. But check back frequently to find out when that is back up. So I know that will that will hopefully help direct some folks in the meantime. But if you're starting a brand new application, you can go ahead and download it and begin it now. If you can get it finished up in one shot, you can go ahead and submit it in there as well. So that's about it. I think you did a great job. And I know there's going to be a lot of questions about very unique situations and circumstances that every business has. It's a little bit different than the next. I don't really expect that we're going to be able to fully answer everyone's very specific questions on this, and that's exactly what the 1-800 number for our disaster team is for. That's 1-800-659-2955. I'll make sure that gets in the comments box as well. And that's where the loan officer is going to be able to help walk through your specific application and your specific case as you submit these loans. So I think that clears it up. And Rick, you did a fantastic job, so appreciate that. Buckley, I guess we can turn it over to you and go through Q&A.
Yeah, and to your point on specific questions, I'll start out with some more of the general questions, and if we have time for the specific ones, I'll circle back. But a few of them had to do with filling out the online form, and I think you just answered it. But to clarify, if somebody is filling it out, they can save it. If they get interrupted, come back to it. If they've already started it, they don't need to start a new one because of updates. That's all correct?
Yes, that's absolutely correct.
Okay. One of the questions has to do with proceeds paying down debt on real estate if it's rental property.
Yeah, so, on this, this isn't used to refinance any fixed term debt, but what the SBA and the underwriters are looking at is if these were reoccurring payments that you had, then they need to be included on your liability sheet. Rick, remind me of the form. Is that the 1101 form?
I'm not sure the actual form number. That's going to be the schedule of liabilities.
Yeah, so that needs to go on the schedule of liabilities, and the let me see if I can see it right here, the 2202 form, to make sure that those are reoccurring in your business and they haven't just popped up all of a sudden. But our EIDL loans are not going to take out fixed debt if you have it existing with your bank. So I would definitely suggest you contact your banker and see what they can do in deferring payments, deferring P&I payments for you currently. But make sure if you do have monthly payments going on for overhead, that you add those into the 2202 on your liability statement you're submitting to the SBA.
All right. This one is on a timing issue that I imagine affects a lot of folks. Obviously, for a lot of businesses, they've already felt the impact. But for somebody that is just predicting that they're going to, so the disaster for them hasn't occurred yet financially, but they know that next quarter it's going to hit them. Can they go ahead and fill out a form and apply, or do they have to wait until they can actually demonstrate financial loss?
Rick, you want to handle that one?
Sure. Well, here's the thing. That's the reason why the historical financial statements are going to be required. The stronger those financial statements are for if the business has been in business for a long period of time, the last 2 years of financial statements, cash flows, P&Ls, the loan officer will be looking at the overall repayment ability. So no, the business does not have to be showing that they will be having a loss. We know that they will be having a loss. We're getting direction for the small business owners and their projections to show what the estimated cash business working capital needs for the businesses are for the next 6 months. You might want to do 10 months, but at least the next 6 months. So they do not have to, they do not have to be wait. They don't have to wait. Go ahead and get your application in now, because the loan officer will be looking at the historical financial statements to also help assess what the working capital needs will be of that business.
All right. This should be a quick answer. Can your CPA complete this with your approval?
Edward, you want to handle that?
Yeah, no problem. So just make sure you're putting in there the owner's information, and additional contact information would be the CPA's information. We've had a lot of requests and questions about, if I'm making this application, do I put my name? No, it's the business owner's information that you have to put in there. You would just be an additional contact person. You have to put the business owner and the business owners, the business name and the business ownership in there specifically. But yes, any administrative person can be listed as an additional contact.
All right. Can subchapter S entities apply for this? Are they eligible?
Yeah. So it really doesn't matter the legal formation that you have. You would go ahead and enter in there. And in the Form 5, it specifies exactly who in there is going to need to submit financial statements on the Form 5 application for Subchapter S, corporations, et cetera. Follow the instructions on there, and it will tell you what percentage of ownership each member needs to have to submit the financial statements.
All right, and that related to that, there was a question about percentage of ownership. Someone asking specifically if four members of the LLC, one of them is 95%, and the others are 3, 2, and 1. So you're saying that it specifies in the form the thresholds of how much you have to own in order to be required to be listed?
Yeah, under Block 17 in the form, the SBA Form 5, proprietor or limited partner who owns 20% or more interest in each general partner needs to complete a Form 5, and then a stockholder or entity owning 20% or more voting stock would also need to complete that. So those instructions are in the top right page of your page 7 of the application, or page 6 of the application.
All right, and then related to that, you were discussing affiliated entities. One of the questions, were you saying that if one of the members of the LLC owns other entities outside of that particular LLC, does that need to be listed? Is that what you were trying to say on it?
Yeah, and that's really discussing. You know, we've had a ton of questions around the affiliates. So if you have a business that's applying, and what we do commonly see is they have interest in more than one business, then yes, you need to disclose affiliates. If you're not necessarily clear on how to do that in the system, that's your chance to use the additional comment section and write into those comment sections any additional information that you want to include, but are unsure on where to include it in the form or any disclosures that you want to make. If you just annotate there in the comment section, that will help your loan officer figure out if you need to fill additional forms out, or if they can do it according to what you've been able to submit currently.
Okay, and this is just a clarifying question. So the personal financial statement should be completed in the business name, not in the personal name.
No, the personal name. That's why it's called the personal financial statement.
All right, so personal name, not your business name. It's your own personal financial statement that you're submitting for each individual shareholder.
Right. Well, so what we look at is the business is the applicant, but the owners are the underlying information that we're assessing as well.
Got it. And this is one that's been asked a few times. If you've got excess already to a line of credit, are you eligible?
You know, I would say if you're foreseeing liquidity challenges coming up, like most businesses are, go ahead and put your application in. Right now, we're at phase 2 of the economic stimulus package that's been issued. This is part of that. We don't know what additional relief is coming. So if you have a need for liquidity, then yes, I would go ahead and apply and let the SBA tell you you're not eligible. You know, it's better off having more access and access to more resources than not enough when it comes down to it. So if you are thinking that that's going to impact you, yeah, I would definitely go ahead and apply for it and let the SBA decline you, as opposed to you setting yourself aside and not applying.
Okay, and then there are a few questions, and you addressed this, but just to repeat,
Sure.
The system, the link is currently not working, so everybody just hang on. It'll be back up and running. If you've started it online, check back and
hold tight.
Yeah, you'll be able to complete what you already started. You don't have to do a separate paper version of it, and y'all will have it back up and running soon. And then, so there's a question, this has been asked a few times. Yes, we will have this PowerPoint available. We've got everyone's email who registered for this. We're gonna get the PowerPoint sent out to y'all, and then we're also gonna link to it on the Chamber's dedicated COVID webpage that Jay mentioned at the beginning of it. So you'll all be able to have the details of this.
Thank you. One of the things I want to add to this for the folks that are still on the call is SBA, in addition to this disaster loan product, SBA has some amazing regular small business loan products. All right. So I would also encourage you, while you're moving forward through this, contact your bank and see if they are an SBA lender, because we have a loan program called the 7A loan program, which is a great program. And if it's just working capital, most of our lenders can do those loans in a relatively quick period of time if you are a current customer of the bank. There's also a loan program called the SBA Express program. We have about 20 lenders in the state that are approved SBA lenders specifically for this program. And if you are an existing customer of that program, they can get you up to $350,000 within a matter of just, a very short period of time, a couple of days or maybe a week or so, if it's just strictly for working capital. So please know that there are great products that we have in the SBA portfolio through your SBA lenders. And we would encourage you to pursue those as well while you're pursuing the SBA disaster loan, because you can do both.
All right. Let's see, looking for some lesser specific ones and then I can circle back. This one's been asked a few times. If you've got multiple LLCs, multiple entities under the same owner, same individual, can you apply for each of those entities?
Yeah, and that's where the affiliates come in. That's why we want you listing your affiliates, so we know who's applying and how many businesses you're applying with, because you'll still get the max 2 million aggregated. So that's what they're keeping an eye on with that as well. Just make sure you disclose your affiliates in the affiliate section.
All right, here's a very pertinent question. How's this different than what is currently being considered by Congress to help small businesses?
So how is this different? This is actually authorized and available to you now. That's the biggest difference is this is what's available now. What is working through Congress in the third leg of this economic relief stool is not currently authorized and is not available for businesses to take advantage of yet. This SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loan is what is available now for businesses to take advantage of.
All right. Let's see this.
And Buckley, just to let me go ahead and flush this out a little bit.
Sure.
You applying for this loan isn't going to make you ineligible for anything else, and what potentially may come or may not come out of additional legislation. So, SBA and the powers that be are looking at this in a global macro environment and understand and aren't going to penalize businesses for seeking capital.
Yeah, and a related question didn't specify that, but it's someone that said reading information about retaining employees and debt forgiveness, can you expand? And I'm assuming that that's a question related to what is making its way through Congress. Your particular program does not have debt forgiveness as a component. Is that correct?
Right. There's no current debt forgiveness on this product. This is the only authorization, the only product authorized currently for small businesses to access right now, as well as the traditional SBA loan programs. The disaster declaration made this available for businesses to take advantage of.
Okay, this is a clarifying question. You mentioned a 7A loan, and it was hard to understand the other SBA loan name.
It's the SBA Express.
SBA Express.
EXPRESS.
All right. This one I think's been answered already. Applying for this does not affect your chances for what Congress is working on. Someone asking if they have to reapply. I think I can answer that one. That would be a totally separate process that would not be going through SBA. It'd be going through local banks, correct?
Well, so that's where it depends, and we're uncertain of what's coming and what will be authorized in the next bill. However, if additional relief is authorized under SBA, through the economic injury disaster loan and disaster loan program, there shouldn't be a need to reapply. It would just be a factor of repayment adjustments on SBA. But again, that's all potential. We don't know exactly how that's going to be rolled out. So you can either wait, which we don't advise businesses to do, wait until that legislation is passed and then try to figure it out, or apply for this now and then work with any changes that do come out.
All right. This might apply to a lot of folks working a business out of their home. This is if my business is located at my home, which box do I check, business or home?
Business, because this isn't a home, this isn't a physical disaster, so your home wasn't damaged. That's the perspective that we take from the disaster declaration. Generally, these are looked at a physical disaster, such as a tornado comes through. This is looking at it as you have economic injury where your business is, period. There's no physical loss, so there's no home loss.
All right, and I think I'll get you to clarify this just a little more because it probably applies to several folks on here. Can you clarify the process when someone does have multiple LLCs? Do they need to fill out individual applications for each LLC, or is it covered in supplying the affiliated entity information in the one loan application?
They need to make one application and disclose their affiliates, and that would be the other LLCs that they have. Gotcha.
So only one form, and put everything from all of your LLCs in that form.
Correct.
And explain that those relationships with those LLCs in the free form text box in the application where there's room to address that.
All right. I'm being asked to remind, and it's a good reminder, that for small businesses needing assistance, there are still, this is something we have been hosting in-house in our building at the Chamber, and now is being done online, similar to this, SCORE office hours, where you can get some free assistance. It is littlerock.score.org, where you can go sign up to speak with someone online about getting help with this and anything else related to small business.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just also sent a link out to everybody that links them to our district office website. And what I would suggest is you guys sign up there in the bottom right-hand corner for email updates. That way you can follow the updates as they do come out. We do usually post 2 updates a day during these times that, everything is kind of changing. And they can get the top of the information out every day as it changes. So Paul's here. He's worried if he actually takes funds to this program. Well, Paul, on this, if you apply and you get approved for the loan, it doesn't require you to take the loan. That's not going to damage any other relationships you have. It's available funding for if you need it. I hope there's many businesses out there that are sitting on significant cash that can weather the storm with this. However, I know if most individual folks can't afford a $400 emergency expenditure, our business community is not much different. So when we think about that as businesses, that's what this is here for, to help create that pool of liquidity for you to get through troubling times. So if you apply for the loan, you get approved for it, and you don't disperse it, so what? You at least had it available to you during these times. Robert, at some point, will we have a person assigned to our case? Yes. Once your application is put through and you get an application number that goes into the queue, you'll have a case. It won't be a case manager, but there are case managers you can reach out to with your loan number, and they can help direct you to make changes or add any additional information to your loan as things do change.
All right, you see the question right above that one about multiple EINs.
Yeah. Again, the application is going to be the primary business. What business are you applying under? And then you're going to be filling out for your affiliates. Every affiliate most likely is going to have an EIN. You're not trying to cram all that in one box. That's what the affiliate section is for. And that's where you need to identify your affiliates and their EINs and their additional information there. Do we need to go into further explanation, Chris, on the multiple EINs or affiliates? And this is really where your the 1-800 number for disaster, and I'll put that again in the inbox for everybody. And the customer service are going to be able to help address your specific questions when it comes to, hey, I have these affiliates. This is what I'm dealing with. They can help. Adjust with that and make sure you have the proper information. Neil asked, will any part be forgivable? Asking for a friend, basically. No, we don't have any guidance on anything that would be forgivable yet. Again, same question in the next one. We can't really comment on what's coming because it hasn't been signed into law yet, so we don't have any ability to move forward and anticipate what may or may not come in that bill. Right now, the EIDL program is what we have available.
And Edward, if I can, let me speak to that for a second. I think folks they're reading stuff online that's happening real time and confusing it with EIDL. And I want to go back to what both you and Rick have said repeatedly, and that is, please, if this is something you believe you might need, fill out the application and start the process now. Because the reality of that is you'll be further along by doing that, number one. Number two, that is not going to keep you from being able to access other programs if they are eligible to be stacked. And for example, if this third tranche comes with the current CARES Act and the Paycheck Protection Loan is something that you're interested in, if you have an EIDL and it's for something different than what you're doing paycheck protection, if in fact that actually takes place, which we hope it will, then you're going to be eligible for both. So just go ahead and apply if this is something that you think you might be interested in. It will not preclude you from another program if we're able to be able to put those together, number one. Number two, then you can make the decision once you've gotten through the process. What we're afraid will happen is the system will be flooded with requests. And so while you're waiting, then that's going to keep you from being able to access much needed funds in a timely manner. So please, once again, just go ahead and make application. And as this other information becomes available, we are going to make it available on our website. We will continue to do other webinars. You will have the opportunity, obviously, to visit with both an SBA representative or your own personal banker. We don't have the answers yet on the grant versus loan forgiveness and all of those things. This is just the EIDL. Please make an application if it's something you're interested in.
And filling out the application, just to repeat something that was said early on, does not obligate you to accept it if they approve you. And so if you get down the road with it, at least you got that as an option. It doesn't mean you have to move forward with it.
Great. There's a couple more I also want to address for startup and early stage businesses. You're still eligible. Make sure you make the application and substantiate any expenses you do have. It's not going to prevent you from being eligible. Just provide the loan officer what information you do have and what expense and liabilities you do have forthcoming so they can make a decision based on that. A lot of the credit underwriting is going to be done through a credit scoring model that SBA uses internally. and that's a combination model that we apply for our SBA small loans. So a lot of it's going to be credit score driven under this, but they're going to go ahead and use all the information you provide to make a decent credit decision. And if it is denied, you have up to 6 months for reconsideration, and then at any time you can always add more or adjust your application in the process. So I'm looking through here. Did we miss any questions? Do we have any more?
There's one from Jan. The last time I called the helpline, it was 2 hours. Will this improve? Yes, Jan, they are working on this. We appreciate everyone's patience. Please understand, this is the first time in the history of the SBA that the entire nation, it's like we got 5 million salmon all swimming upstream all at the same exact time. So they are hiring. I would encourage you to just, like I said, put your phone on speaker. Someone will get with you, have your application number handy, and they will get to you. They are scaling up for that.
Yeah, and we're anticipating what we're being told is a 2-week turnaround in the processing time, plus an additional week for disbursement. So 3 weeks is the benchmark that they're going for. I know if you go to SBA.gov under the disaster homepage now, they're already hiring new employees and workers to help process that. We've had conversations internally at ODA and with the team from Rocket Mortgage to help us to be able to effectively and quickly scale the operations for this. We understand that this is going to be a longer term, and this is, again, at the first step of this. So patience, please, as all of you work through this as well. I know most of you are already frustrated with the challenges that your existing businesses are facing, but I do want to nod to the Chamber and the city's efforts into supporting the small businesses here locally. The Chamber's got a fantastic page where you can find the local resources and help. I always tell, small businesses, the best source of cash is from a customer. And so if we can continue to support small businesses during this time, I think it's going to be better and another way to help ease and support the challenges for everybody.
One of the other things too is once the portal comes back up, what I have learned from my experience in these webinars is if you are going to be uploading things, I don't know if the new Dropbox procedure will expedite, but with so many people on the application at the same time, if you go in off hours, so if you go in after 10 p.m. and hopefully maybe sometime before 6 a.m., there will often be fewer folks on the application, so that might also have a little bit to do with the speed in terms of uploading documents as well.
Question from Liz, specifically, will there be a delay, hesitation on the part of lenders, whether they be SBA or non-SBA, to lend on projects like expansions that we're just beginning to hit? Yeah, so I'm on a call daily with the Arkansas Bankers Association and about 75 to 100 bankers every morning to talk about what they're feeling. And we've got folks from FDIC, the regulators from FDIC, OCC, all communicating to our banking folks that, look, we're all working together to try to keep the credit open and extend credit as much as possible. We've got a lot of lenders that are existing SBA lenders that have a lot more flexibility and risk tolerance than the non-SBA lenders. So everyone is definitely working their part to keep the credit coffers open as much as possible. FDIC is relaxing their requirements around troubled debt refinance and troubled debt assets. So it seems to be an all hands on this in order to really make and support our small business community as we go through this. But yes, of course, some of those really risk adverse lenders are definitely singing the praises of SBA now and looking for the SBA guarantee now, like they haven't done in the past. But that's part of a run on credit, and that's why this funding that is here and available through the disaster loan and will be coming out will help keep those liquidity in the market. Absolutely, Liz.
And I wanted to point out an additional resource. This is also linked on the Chamber's COVID page. If you go to the AEDC link, Arkansas Economic Development Commission, there's a separate loan program that's been set up by them with funding from both the governor and the Attorney General's office. This specifically prioritizes small and medium-sized businesses that are in supply chain of essential goods and services. This could be food service, food manufacturing, healthcare, logistics, and so forth. So that might also be an additional resource. Those are zero interest loans, but very, very narrow in nature of who they're actually prioritizing. But something else that you can take a look at, see if you qualify, linked off of the Chamber's webpage.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Robert asked a question. Why is it 3.75? That's what the SBA and the federal government set Treasury rates on, and so that's what SBA has agreed on with Treasury, and that's what we have to extend out. If you can find better than 3.75, let me know. I'd be happy to apply myself.
I want to go ahead and agree with Liz. I think that beer is essential also. So
absolutely,
thank you, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Number one, number two. Again, we can't reiterate enough. Please go ahead and apply if this is something that you think you might be interested in. You're not forced to take it. There will be hopefully other options that maybe can be packaged with it. So don't let any of those reasons keep you from going ahead and getting into the system and getting moving. Edward, Rick, we're so thankful for your work and thankful for your counterparts' work across the state and across this country. We do know that you're absolutely inundated. And you're way beyond the capacity that anybody ever expected you to be able to handle. So we know that you're getting a little rest and you've got a ton of work in front of you. We appreciate you. We're also going to be doing a webinar with Edward and Rick again tomorrow. So if there's something that you felt like you missed and you want to tune in, then feel free to do so. We'll be doing that in the morning, and that information is on the website. And again, as Edward discussed, we are constantly updating our website with information as it comes. So just because you read it yesterday, please go back and check it again today or tomorrow, because it in all likelihood has changed. So we're here to help you in any way we possibly can. We appreciate what you do, not only for the Chamber of Commerce, but also more importantly for this community and region. And so it's our goal to make sure we get everybody through this. So with that, please let us know if we can get you any additional information. We'll be sending out the deck as Buckley said, so that everybody has access to that. And let's go get through this and get this thing turned back around. Have a great day.